Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 8 of the TV Yellow Les Paul Junior build, and in this episode we're going to be adjusting the template and cutting the neck pocket into the body. Okay, so in the last episode we got most of the basic shaping work done on the neck. So the next job we need to do is to actually get this bit to fit into that bit, and without being too technical about it, we basically do that by putting a great big hole in there that's the same shape as that. And to do that we need a template, which we have. However, as we ascertained last time, that's too big to go into the template as it is now. Now if you look carefully, you'll be able to see that this template has actually got a load of body filler in there that has been cast to the exact shape of the last neck I made for my other Les Paul Junior. However, this one isn't the same shape, so we need to recast this, and basically what I'm going to do is I'll get this to the bandsaw and I'll very quickly cut all that old filler out. We'll set this up somehow. It might be a little bit tricky because these aren't anywhere near the same thickness, so we might have a little bit of an issue there, but I'm sure we'll be fine. So we'll get this to the bandsaw, get this old stuff removed, and then we can get the new stuff put in. Okay, so this is pretty much set up now, and all I've done is I've taken some sellotape and I've put that around the end of the heel just to stop the filler that we're going to use actually sticking to the neck, because we don't want that. That wouldn't be very good at all. I've then fastened the neck into the vise at the right angle, so this is kind of just about level. It doesn't really matter too much at this point. And then I've used a straight edge to align right the way through the center line, so the center line at the end of the body is perfectly in line with the center line at the nut, and that runs through all the way down through the neck and the body as well. So that's pretty much absolutely spot on and where we need it to be. So the next step is to mix up some of this car body filler and just squeeze it into the gap and totally fill that gap up. You leave it to go off, which I'll leave this overnight probably, and then we should be able to kind of release this bit from the neck, and we should in theory have an absolutely perfectly fitting neck pocket template. It will be ever so slightly bigger than the neck because we've got the thickness of this tape, but it is literally one thickness of sellotape, so it's hardly anything at all. It's not a negative either because we need a little bit of extra room in that neck pocket, unless we're just going to squeeze all of the glue out come glue up time. So I think this is set up pretty much ready to go now, so we'll get a mix on and get it sorted. And I've got a little bit of board to mix up on, and I'm wearing gloves because this stuff won't wash off very well, and I'm sure pretty much everyone's used this stuff in the past for one job or another, but if you haven't, it's a polyester filler. It's very similar to the kind of resin that you would use in fiberglass, polyester resin, but it's got a lot more filler in, which makes it this kind of thicker consistency. And you have to catalyze it with some of this hardener, and they basically say the formula you need is a pea of hardener to a golf ball of filler. It's quite warm here tonight, and that will help this go off, so I haven't put quite so much hardener in, and plus I'm going to leave it overnight, so I'm sure that'll be absolutely fine. And the trick is, and I see people get this wrong so often, you really do need to mix it until it's a consistent colour, which is why they give you red hardener. And if we had smell-o-vision, you would understand. This shed absolutely stinks now. Okay, I'll set the cameras back up and we'll get this done. And all I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to squeeze that in to that gap. And I'm really going to kind of push it down just to make sure I'm getting as much in there as I can, so that I've got a really big area for my bearing to ride on when I'm routing it. You can feel when that's gone in, because you get like resistance when you try and push the scraper in. Okay, I've scraped as much as a dare off. It's overfilled, I can see that, which is great. That's exactly what we want. We can always kind of clean that and level that off. It's not a problem. Underfilling it means we'd have to do some additional work further down the line. So I'll leave that now overnight to harden up, and we'll see how we've done tomorrow at some point. Okay, so it's the next evening. This has been in for kind of 24 hours now. It's good and solid. And the reason I've left it in so long is this stuff can shrink a little bit if you're not careful. But generally what will happen is, if it's in that confined space like that, the shrinkage will occur within the material. Whereas if I'd taken the bit of wood out earlier, the shrinkage might actually be dimensional, which is definitely what we don't want. But you can really see here, there's no crack and there's no gap around there. So we should be good to take this out now. So I'll get everything unclamped and see if we can get it cracked off. And there we can see that has come out really, really nice. It's nice and smooth, and it's kind of covered everything that we need to. There is, however, kind of some excess in some places that will need trimming off, but hopefully that won't be too much of a problem. And then we'll just need to sand this nice and flush, which, to be honest, probably won't take us very long at all. I probably should have covered the whole of the top of this with some tape. There has been a little bit that's got onto the wood, so I'll need to kind of sand that flush, but can't see that being a problem. Just need to clean it up a little bit. Okay, and get some sandpaper on the job and see how good this actually is. Okay, so that's all cleaned off now. I've just basically rubbed that down so it's nice and flat and smooth. Obviously we need that flat so the router can run on it okay, and we need this face flat so that it will sit against the rest of the body okay, but everything's good there. And I'll just kind of put it on here and test the fit, and that's as tight as we need it. It's a lovely, lovely fit, so that should all be good as well. So next up, we need to get this onto the body, get everything marked up, and we can start removing the waste in preparation for routing this pocket in. Okay, so my drawing is telling me that this neck pocket goes down about 33 millimeters. Don't think it's absolutely vital that it is 33 mil. We can make adjustments if it's too deep or too shallow. We just need to take a little bit more off the neck tenon to make it fit properly. Now, it doesn't give you a huge amount of detail in this drawing for the neck joint. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to route the neck pocket in flat on the bottom and then put the angle we need onto the tenon itself. But that's getting a little bit ahead of myself. So what I'll do is I'll take the body with the neck pocket marked out on it. I'm going to double check this before I do anything, but we'll get this to the drill press and we'll hog out this waist to about 30 mil down, and then we can get the router in and clean that out properly. Okay, so there's the bulk of that material hogged out. So next up, get this template fastened down in the appropriate place and break out the router. So that's all set up now. Super glue, masking tape, clamps are there just to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't wander around all over the bench while I'm doing this. I've got a range of these bearing guided cutters and the trusty Katsu router, which is still going strong and still working absolutely beautifully, despite it being the cheapest router on Amazon when I bought it, and I think probably still is. So I'll start working my way through this. I'll probably take this down in 3 or 4 passes, just removing a little bit at a time, and then we can see how well this template has worked out. Okay, and that's the neck pocket cut in. So we'll just give this a quick trial fit. It's worth bearing in mind that we haven't got the right angle on the tenon at the moment, and also this angle here will need probably adjusting just to get it to fit up properly to the back of the pocket. But that actually fits in really nicely. It's a nice snug fit, and just a kind of very rudimentary check. We're all lining up very nicely on the centre lines as well. So very, very happy with that. And the observant amongst you may have noticed that I changed out to the big router halfway through that. And the simple reason was, whilst the little router was great for going around the edge of here, once I started to do the middle section, it just started to get a little bit tippy. So we went with the big Triton router instead, which did the job absolutely beautifully. Clearly that isn't the neck angle that we want. It might not be that far out, but this is definitely not the fit we need. So next up is we need to cut the tenon onto this so we can get this to sit down a lot more level with the body and just get that fitting up exactly how we want it. However, we can't do that without ascertaining the brake angle to make sure that the bridge and the pickup and everything else are going to work properly. But working that out can be a little bit problematic, can be quite a long job. So I'm going to leave that for the next episode. I'll be back in a couple of days' time with that. So as always, like if you've liked, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.